What's good, friends and family? Mr. Flip Flop here with another story. Actually, this is part 2 of my journey to Sosua, Dominican Republic. If you guys watched part 1, I gave you the breakdown of how I ended up in Sosua on my first trip and second trip. How I ended up living in Sosua. I didn't realize I was living in Sosua until maybe a year later, but I was. And how I just got things going, how things just slowly transformed for me as far as becoming an expat. Something I did not plan. So a lot of people ask me, well, how did you maintain financially? We don't do broken abroad over here. So how did I maintain financially? First, I'm gonna need you to like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Don't forget, Paradise Life in the building all day. And let's get to the story.
Welcome to Flip Flop.
Now, my journey part 2 to Sosua, Dominican Republic. I gave you guys the gist of the story. So now it's about how did I maintain financially? Well, as I said, I had my own company. I was also vice president of another company previous to me delving into personal training. I'm the type of person that's not afraid to fail, not afraid of what everyone else is afraid of. I'm not worried about what someone's going to say. I step outside the box. If you watch any of my videos, you know I'm just that type of person. I'm just going to jump in and whatever happens, happens. I'm going to make it work. Knock on wood, every single thing I've done in my life has worked based on my confidence, based on my drive. You know, I'll outwork everybody. So if things aren't looking good, I'm going to make them good. Okay, so when I've lived in multiple states and now I live in another country, I wasn't really worried about what was going to happen. I wasn't worried about the next step. I wasn't worried about plans. I was more so saying, this is what I'm going to do. We'll figure it out. So when I came to DR, no pension, no retirement, none of that. I had money saved up for my companies. I had money coming in. Matter of fact, my first 2 years of being in DR, I had money coming in from the States, still getting paid from some of my trainers that I had working under my company. So, money was coming in. It was pretty cool. I just kind of needed a break. I didn't think it was going to be anything long term where I thought I was going to live in DR for a long period of time, but it ended up happening, right? I won't say the exact amount I actually came with to DR, but you could buy a Honda Accord with that, right? Let's leave it at that. But I came with some bread, and when I knew I was going to stay here, and I kind of was like, let's see where things go. As I told you guys in the first video, I ended up doing parties. I didn't know nothing about parties in America. Started doing parties here. Then started getting paid for parties. Doing other people's parties, as I still do now, catering events, organizing bachelor parties, stuff like that. I was doing that way back then. I was doing that 13, 14 years ago, okay? Doing the parties I do now, the events. I was doing those years ago. There's some big artists that I had at my events for the Lolo because they weren't big artists back then, okay? That's why it's kind of like when you always hear me say people compete with my parties. When I was doing parties in DR, people didn't have passports. These dudes that claim they compete. So it's like when Paradise Life or myself does something, I've been doing this for so long, there is no competition. You know what I'm saying? And the guys who were doing it before me guided me along the way. So it is what it is. It was holding me down for a period of time, but I had to get out of tourist mode. I told you guys when I did the month to month at $2,000 a month, I was good. I was under budget every month. I really just had to get out of tourist mode. Once you come down here to live, even if it's only a staycation for 6 months, 7 months at a time, a year at a time, you need to get out of tourist mode. What do I mean by tourist mode? Tourist mode is on a week, I don't mind spending $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 on my vacation because I'm on vacation. I'm there to spend money to have fun. But when you're living in another country, $1,000 a week is a lot of money. It's a lot of money when you're on vacation, but you booked your vacation, most of us, to spend money. You know you're going to spend money. So that's tourist mode. Tourist mode is, I don't care what it costs, I want it. I don't care what that costs, go ahead, where's the bill? That's tourist mode. Expat mode is, how much is that? Is it special today? Like, that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to be cheap, but you got to make sure you're not spending your money like a tourist because it adds up really, really fast. So, once I got out of tourist mode and I guided myself to get out of tourist mode by learning, talking to people, kicking it with people, I was able to maintain my finances even better. So whatever I had saved up was keeping me, was maintaining me, and I had short money coming in from the parties. It wasn't a lot at first, money here and there, because I didn't know what I was doing as far as organizing the parties and what my worth was. Now, obviously, I have it down packed. It's really nothing to do a party now, but it took a lot of learning that as time went on, So basically my money I had saved held me down. Learning how not to be a tourist in tourist mode held me down. And then just learning where to go, learning where to shop, learning where to go drink at, learning who had a special here and there. Stuff like that will make you a better expat, you know what I'm saying, if you're going to be an expat. I'll get into more in a second. I hope you hit that like button. I know you did, right? So there's always a sidebar. I know some of you guys just are balling out of control. You have a lot of money. I always say no matter how much money you have, you cannot live as an expat in tourist mode. I got guys that make $10,000 a month retirement. It doesn't matter. They overspend because they have it, but I go, just because you have it don't mean you have to spend it. So in other words, you should be learning where to go. Now, some of those guys, after a while, they learn, okay, I spent too much over here. Let me go over here. But at the end of the day, it's your money. You do as you please, right? But for me, I needed to learn where to spend my money, where to get the best bang for my buck, where to get the proper value of my money. And that came along with experience and being here. See, one of the biggest things about my journey, which is something that I tell a lot of people that follow me, no knock on other YouTubers, no knock on other expats, but no one showed me any of this. Everything I've done, I learned on my own. Everything I've done, I had to go in there, figure it out, mess up maybe 1 or 2 times, maybe 3 times, and then get it right the 4th time. So everything you see me do, all the information I have, everything I give you is from my personal experience, me failing and succeeding, whatever, even if it's going to the bank and not getting my bank account in 2 days like I was told, stuff like that. So everything I've done has been on my own, and I figured it out on my own. At this very moment, there is nothing I do not have that a Dominican has, except my residency, which I'm working on now. I've got bank accounts. I've got Dominican credit. I've got property. I've got my home. I've got my car. I've got insurance, dental, medical, all that. I'm working on my life insurance now for here. There's nothing I don't have. I pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I wanted to kind of do everything to see how it could be done. And this probably, honestly, is the easiest country and the most expat-friendly country to get these things done. And the reason I say that is because other countries, you can only stay a certain amount of time and then you got to leave. Here, you can stay for a period of time. You got to pay when you leave, or pay the fine when you leave, and they'll still let you come back and do what you got to do. One of the knocks I have is the banking, but I understand it. If you want to do any type of banking, not just your card, not go to the ATM, none of that. If you want to go in the banking, do banking and do something with the bank, whatever it is, you have to be under 30 days with your passport. So that can be a hassle. That means you got to leave and come back or go get it stamped and come back. Okay, that can be a hassle, but I understand it because since you're not a resident, you're not supposed to be here more than 30 days. Your visa's expired. You can't do bank business. I get that. So these are the nuances I learned. As I said, a lot of the stuff in my personal journey was learned on my own. I had no one to hold my hand, no one to show me. Like you guys got all these videos now, and all these YouTubers and all these people talking now. There was nobody there for me showing me this. I learned all of this that I tell you on my own. I speak on my experiences. I know everyone has their own experiences. I don't know how many people have been here long as me. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I went through the ups and downs and every single thing on my own. I had to figure this all out. Good and bad. Good and bad, not just good. So at the end of the day, how I maintained myself was learning how to spend my money, where to spend my money. Because it's all good going to the store. As Americans, we shop once a month, twice a month, and fill the fridge up. That's not done here. That's really not a thing here. So it's like when you just do all that shopping, you're just buying food to throw it in the freezer. They don't do that here. You go shopping for the week, maybe for a few days, maybe, and that's about it. And you shop like that. Shop for what you need, not for what you want. Because we know we got things sitting in our freezer right now that we haven't touched for months. What do we have it for? Need not, want not, waste not. You get it? So at the end of the day, that I gave you the part of how I maintain myself financially. And then, of course, multiple businesses. I did promotions for multiple businesses, parties for multiple businesses. Then I decided to venture off and do my own businesses. I have multiple businesses in the country, as you guys know, Flip Flop Sports Bar. But I have other businesses that I deal with or that I'm part of that we don't use my name for the business. At the end of the day, if you can travel to any country and stay there and maintain yourself financially, it's a beautiful life. What Sosua means to me is a beautiful beach town with beautiful people. Good, like there's good and bad people everywhere, but for the majority, there's a lot of great people in Sosua. A lot of great expats, a lot of great Dominicans, a lot of great Haitians. Really kind of family. Even like I said, if you push out the bad, there's a lot of family in there in Sosua. We all kind of get along and kick it. So Sosua has just been great to me. It's been a blessing. I'm glad I found Sosua. I'm glad that I live here. I'm glad that you guys come visit. I'm glad that it's part of my journey. But what got me here was just a trip, and what made me stay here was the beautiful city of Sosua. So hopefully you guys get it. If there's any questions, you can leave them in the comment box, and I will respond to you. For that, this is part 2 of my journey, short and sweet. How I maintain myself. As I said, I had money saved up. The parties came in. The parties started making money here and there. Then I was asked to do parties all over the place. So it was like money was flowing with the party. Not that I really was interested in that. It just kind of was something I fell into my lap. I told you guys I freestyled a lot of my life away. Like a lot of stuff I just freestyled, or maybe even lied. You could throw parties. Yeah, throw parties. And I'm lying. I didn't know. Now I do. The restaurant business, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not going to tell you my secret, but certain things led me in life to figure it out. And then I said, if I'm going to do food, I got to do food a certain way. It's got to be a certain way, the way I learned from my grandmother. And because of that, it led me to have a successful business in Sosua, because I forced myself to learn and forced my staff to learn the ways of having a successful food business. So at the end of the day, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. You guys stay tuned for more. Mr. Flip Flop, and I'm out.